Hello, hello, hello. So, I updated this, as we can see. So, I've been talking about, since the Carolina Bays episode, a current that flowed here, and then recently considering it flowing also over here, and this having a current flowing this way that interacted with this current here, mixing and going down this way, and then combined with the current that went through the whole width of the Mississippi, way larger than the current Mississippi, but also went across and went over here, and then it drained into the ocean that had a magma flow that was just like boiling it back, I guess. So there's an exchange going on here. I'm not sure why it's producing the Carolina Bays exactly, but definitely this process is doing it. They're also related to here, it seems. Like they're over here and over here somewhere. Okay, but anyway. So more recently I've been talking about the Colorado Plateau, and then I noticed this. So this is really when we start to get into these current paths that I'm drawing, where I'm like, okay, there's a neck here. Maybe I should pull up the map itself. Okay. So there's generally a current that splits here, comes in this way and goes this way, and this way, goes up this way, add a boundary around here, going up here, and then it comes in here, but it has a general boundary seemingly around here maybe. Also like a secondary boundary over here that it breaks out of here, goes up possibly along here, but generally goes up this way, straight up here to about here, and then it has this kind of turn into this area where it's got the like snake head. So it's just basically holding the boundary. It's like, hello, I'm holding this boundary now. So it's just applying this pressure here with regard to things that we're looking at on this map. Really, it's coming up here, so it interacts here. This current coming across comes across and then interacts here. So it doesn't just like, here's the current, so we can kind of look at the map. There's the starting point of this one here that spirals around here. It goes out here and just across, but it also comes, just keeps spiraling to like here as well, and just is like a big ammonite shape that some of it exits this way, but some of it exits this way and goes across, goes over here. And so when it comes over this way, it runs into resistance from this current that's just pushing this boundary underneath, but still pushing it, and so it causes this current to bends it over, and now it's, once it breaks through this resistance out into like a low ocean bed kind of thing, it interacts with this cross current that's coming around here, right here, comes in and interacts with the center of it that is notably like at the boundary of the Colorado Plateau. So like its largest boundary is the center of it, and then it's basically its center's largest boundary is this boundary, which is a common thing to have happen, it seems, for a singular currents to have widths enough where portions of the current, like boundaries of the current, are certain locations. Like this boundary is the boundary of this one's middle. The center is the boundary of the same one's outer edge. So like that happens up here, we'll talk about. So this comes up this way, and seemingly like what's going on over here applies a pressure down this way and causes a region to kind of become what's called the Bonneville flood over here. So I kind of put a swirl here, like it's probably just swirling in here, and it's like a pocket. It's also got this protection here of the triple junction, so something to do with that. But probably all the reason the triple junction can exist is because the pressure this way that's holding a boundary generally, because the current's flowing this way, but then there's a back pressure that's going to prevent the current from continuing to flow, so it bends against its own self, but because it has this like protection, it can kind of bend in this little region. That's my thoughts. So it does that. Then it comes over here, it hits this batholith and goes through the opening, so it exits here, but it also continues. And then there's some kind of circle here. I'm not quite sure what to make of it. That seems related to this boundary, and that's also kind of off of this one. Adjacent circles, adjacent spiral eddies, adjacent eddies. Like it seems like maybe there's some kind of eddy that was going on here. Possibly to do with the Western Pacific and like how long should my feet burn? Portal. All these circles out here, possibly to do with these. One of these, maybe. Here's the dragon, so maybe here. Because the dragon was kind of here. So the circle above the dragon's head. Dragon's head, circle. This portion is kind of half. Maybe. 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 Possibly. Okay, so then stuff's going on up here, and this is what I've been talking about recently, and I made an animation, so I'm pretty excited. I was like, you know, okay, so Baja BC attaches. That's basically what's happening. All of that segment was away from the coastline, so there was actually space between them for water to flow. And it was flowing, but then this landmass starts to squeeze. Imagine there's like this and there's water inside, and then it starts to squeeze shut, but the water is still flowing inside. It doesn't squeeze like this, it squeezes more like claps. It like claps it. So basically it forces the currents that are flowing through here down just a more and more narrow channel until basically it closes completely, and in the meantime it's just shoving this current through that then comes down this way through here. Mainly, I don't think I can pause this. There's gotta be a way to pause it without... This one I can play. I can't full screen this one, but that's okay. Okay, so it comes in head on, mind you. So this is hot. This is the basalt of the Columbia River basalt coming in. And then this is the maximum extent of the water going in here. So it's basically filling this region first, where it's just going straight into it. Fills this region and runs into resistance of this current coming. That's why I'm saying it's just kind of holding the boundaries, just hanging out. It's present, interacting. It's like no further. You shall not pass. It's like the Gandalf staff, maybe. And the current comes in and just bends, but then that fills pressure here, and it bends directly back this way, presumably participating in etching the surface enough to allow for magma to erupt again. I don't know. Maybe that's why, like, it came across and started to etch here, which then led to eruptions to like counteract it. Literally, like, it was etching so much that it needed to like get the water away by releasing this magma that then comes out counter to it, like eye to eye, running into each other. And then that causes, basically, this is my thoughts, it causes this current to wobble and go down this way, and also to lift up. So it kind of starts to move the boundaries, as well as, so maybe I can, yeah, let's go here, as well as this current's coming in now to Spokane, to like to the center. So this one's going to the outer edge. The boundary of this one's going to the outer edge, and then this secondary current that breaks off is going to the center of this overall eddy that's going to form in the Missoula flood area and the scablands. And then this water like ramps up and goes out and goes out. It starts etching pathways out over this way and up, as well as interacting with the lava and like moving it. So now the lava, it's like has this water that's like kind of pushing the boundary of the lava so that they basically spike up into this region. So the water goes up this way, out this way, but as it does, it brings the material, the Colombian flood basalt with it, into these channels up here. That's my interpretation, that's probably what's going on here. This stuff is kind of sourced from over here, that the water's just kind of bringing the materials up, or at least like leading it generally up that way because of the water's presence. So there's water coming down this way and then running into resistance, going back up this way, but generally out, like across and out where it can, just out of this pressure, out is generally what it's doing. But it's held by the container of the pressure. Also probably glaciers like physically atop this current that are just weighing down on it and making it that much more energetically moving in high velocities. So then it bends here, comes, but this current's coming back, so it wraps around. So it's kind of creating a nucleus here, as well as coming up this way and generally wrapping around. I don't draw it till later because I wasn't paying that much attention to it, but because it's coming up here, and then anything that goes that way is going to run into this current, kind of, basically the current's coming over here, so it's going to encourage it back this way and create just a general eddy, maybe not like the most like total eddy that is viewable like the Colorado Plateau, but still doing it. And then this is my thoughts, is the Colombian River basalt then runs into the water that literally bends it preferentially away, and it fills a region that it can, because this Gandalf staff thing is not quite pushing in there. So it's able to fill over here first. But then that basically leads to it having, like, it comes in this way, fills in here, but then it fills in so much that it ramps atop this and goes over this way and starts to just like fill where it couldn't initially because of the pressures over here. So it starts creeping in. Also, the stuff climbing up this way that doesn't go here starts wrapping around here. Some of it getting caught in this swirl here is kind of what I'm thinking. So it like literally gets kind of shoved up there, and some of it gets brought into this region. But then it continues over here. But then generally what's coming across through here. I'm not sure exactly where it comes in. I don't know if it comes in a channel like that exactly. But what's coming in from over here generally goes like this way and over above this triangle, goes up and over. Then it basically runs over here where this current's coming down and wrapping around generally the whole area. Like it's pushing probably a boundary to, like here's the center here, right here is the center. Looking like it's got its own little mini center even. And maybe another center to the center there. But this is the general center, so a current like at the width from the outer edge to the of this inner to the outer edge of the outer is generally going around. So like it looks like this width has a flow of pressure generally, what exactly that pressure is on. And then this current coming across runs into it and wraps around, just up, never mind, and goes with the current. But because it's not like directly into the eddy, it just leaves, it goes around and goes down this way and across, creating this like cross current here, which then just feeds down into here with this other current that's coming down this way. So it goes across. And then they combine. This one goes over here, swirls in here also. So I don't know if I drew that, what I had just said, but essentially this goes in this way, runs into this Gandalf staff again that's pushing up here. Runs into it and is just forced this way. It just goes up this way. Where as long as there's enough pressure over here, so then it comes over here. And then it comes in this way, like up into it and wraps around. So it creates this like backstop region, basically shaping everything. Everything's being shaped by these currents, where currents are flowing, I guess, is the brown stuff, and where they're compacting mounds is more like this. So this current flows across here, joins the general current over here, and just encourages it more to flow over here, over this way, but then it runs into this resistance of this current coming up this way, which then just pushes it back for the time being. It pushes it back across, so it re-enters this same place, comes in and just swirls and swirls, basically swirls into a yin-yang thing here, but that basically turns into like a gear that's turning like a tire, and it's just shooting material then. So it's encouraging currents this way, like right through here, and then this way into this Gandalf staff again. Currents coming this way. If not for this current, they would just go straight. But because there's pressure there, it bends away and goes to Yellowstone. As well as this current over here that doesn't go up this way, it goes more across. We can kind of see it here. Cuts across here and then goes up here. So basically everything from over here is fed ultimately into Yellowstone, whereas the water is fed, I guess, out into the ocean here. Mind you, this is water that before this was attached, it was just basically further away. This gap continued. It literally went from Greenland past the North Pole through here, and then across this way, this way, this way, this way. this way, basically the Rencha. And then everything that was accreted was like this current here, this current here, that's, or these materials here that are riding currents that are deposited here. But this gets closed off so that this ocean current up here that was flowing across can no longer flow across, but it really wants to, because there's a lot of like ocean currents. Imagine if you just like close the ocean, but these currents are trying to get through, like the cycle of the like railroad train of currents behind that are like, they don't know what's ahead of them, they just keep coming, and the trains just start to like compile and turn into, I don't know what that was, like derail. The trains derail and things start to happen, and so maybe they turn into spiraling trains because they got nothing else to do, because they got no space, so they just literally derail into this stacking spiral thing. As it just comes through until this closes. Once this really seals, and this seals, so that this current can't just come over here as easily, then it like dies off, and as the process like reaches a new equilibrium, basically, then it's good. So oh, that's just a picture. Okay, let's watch this animation. Here is this animation. Okay. Honestly, I think it fits this region so well that it's probably generally true. I did it. Peace, dude.